You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt Olson. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. I'm Britt Olson, your podcast host and leader in holistic and intuitive wellness, here for the purpose of guiding you to tap into your own true potential. And this is truly an area that I'm deeply passionate about. For me, I've really seen myself go in and out of burnout multiple times, disconnect from my intuition, and just feel so much pressure to do things the way I thought I had to, instead of listening to my true nature and how my soul knew how to live and what to be true. And I'm also here to really provide a sense of community and connection. And as always, if you need anything at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm truly here for you, and I mean that genuinely. So to kick off today's super fun episode, I'm really excited for this conversation. I know you guys are going to love it. I wanted to share a few fun facts about me that you may not know. And it is spring here in Florida. I have my windows open as I'm recording, so I didn't want to close them because the air just feels so good right now. So you might hear a couple birds in the background, but hey, kind of fun. All right, so a couple fun facts. First of all, speaking of spring, my favorite flowers are daisies, sunflowers, and calla lilies. I really love all flowers though, to be honest. Those are just ones that have always really stood out to me throughout my life. And I love this time of year as everything is just coming into bloom. There's so much energy. And the colors just seem to radiate so strongly outside. It's just such a beautiful and vibrant, just all the colors, especially where I'm located. If spring hasn't sprung yet for you in your area of the world, I do know that it's coming. I will tell you that. And I feel that this is going to be a really beautiful spring for everyone. So that's exciting. And if spring has sprung by you, send me some photos on Instagram at Loving Your Own Soul. I would love to see the colors and beauty that is in your area. Another fun fact about me is I love the sun, and I really specifically craft my days around finding time to wake up with the sunrise and then close down my day with the sunset. It's really just one of the many forms of spirituality to me, and I've loved it my whole life ever since I was a little girl, and it's something that I really do with intention, and it really just shapes out who I am. I also find the sun to be very feminine at those times of day, which, yeah, I just really like it. And the last thing I'll say is I'm very passionate about foods from the earth and what they do for our bodies. I always used to just carry this mindset around punishing my body with food, like, oh, you get a salad because you need to lose weight and any other food will have too many calories. And then I would beat myself up for still feeling hungry 30 minutes after that salad. And it wasn't until I really started looking at food with the understanding of what it actually does for me and my body and just how it supports me that really my whole journey suddenly changed when I really just shifted my outlook around food and the foods I was eating. And from there, my whole journey just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, truly just shifted for the better. I mean, it's been beautiful and just so peaceful to witness. I really couldn't be happier with where I currently sit in my life. I just feel so grateful. But, speaking of peace, let's talk about creating peaceful environments in the spaces we live in. So today on the podcast, I am so honored to feature Alex Dakas, who is a Feng Shui expert and intuitive interior designer. And what a gem of a human Alex is. I personally love this girl so much, and I know y'all are just going to not only love her, but this conversation. There are so many incredible tips to transforming your spaces, your homes, your rooms, even your desk. And I am just so grateful for Alex and the beautiful work she does. To that point, I will also say that your environment really does have a massive effect on your life, and transforming your environment and the space you're in, especially now. I mean, we are all in our spaces so much more than we ever used to be, but it really does have major benefits both internally and externally to ourselves as the individual. And one thing I did just want to point out with this episode, as you know, I do record most of these episodes virtually, which has had so many benefits. But on this one, there was a bit of a clicking in the audio that showed up in post-production, and being self-taught in the editing, I can't figure out how to remove it. So life in the virtual world, I guess you could say. Not a big deal. I just wanted to point that out. It's not always perfect, but honestly, we just have to roll with it. Keeps it more authentic that way, you could say. Now, before we get into today's episode, I did just want to remind you all of our giveaway that is happening for the month of March. For the month of March, I will be giving away one of my moon cycle oracle card readings. And this reading really goes into the guidance as to where your intentions may want to be focused on in this next cycle, where you'll see your most growth, what's coming into fruition for you, what you're letting go of, an area you may want to lean into. These readings are so fun, so insightful, and truly so powerful. They have helped so many individuals, and you get a chance to win one for yourself for the month of March. So to enter for a chance to win one of March's Moon Cycle Oracle readings, all you have to do is subscribe, rate, and review the podcast, take a screenshot for proof that you entered, and then DM it to me on Instagram at lovingyourownsoul, or send me an email with your proof to lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. And if you share the podcast or your favorite episode on a social media platform, do be sure to tag me for an extra entry, or take a screenshot so that you can send it to me for that extra entry. Now, just one thing to note, if you've previously entered a giveaway of mine, you do have to re-enter in the month of March to be considered. However, it's simple. All you have to do is just shout out one of our guests in the reviews. Tell us what you liked the most about the episode, what you learned, your favorite part of it, etc. Your review doesn't always have to be about the overall podcast, although I do appreciate that, but I really feel like the review space should be used more just to shout out our incredible guests and give them some love too. Now, the winner will be drawn and announced on April 1st, which is also April Fool's Day, which is kind of funny. But then the giveaway will restart for the month of April, and I will do something different that month. So this is really my way of thanking you all for your support and love of the podcast, but also to further support our wonderful guests as well. It's really not easy putting yourself out there. So if you are reviewing a podcast, any podcast, whether it be mine or not, just definitely be sure to shout out the guests, name your favorite episode or piece of their story that helped you the most, because I really know firsthand how much it means when you learn that your own story, experience, or vulnerability made a positive impact on someone else's life. And to that point, let's go ahead and jump into today's wonderful conversation with Alex Dakas. Alex, welcome to the podcast. I am super pumped to have you here and open up our conversation today. This is going to be fun.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who are unfamiliar with you, you are currently an intuitive interior designer and you practice Feng Shui. And I believe you just launched your newest endeavor, Peaceful Parlor. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Cool.
Yeah, so I launched the website and an Instagram, and I'm just starting to get into TikTok. So that's pretty fun.
Yay. Oh my gosh. How has TikTok been? That's been something I have not been able to muster up the courage to do yet.
It's it's honestly been awesome. I mean, I think it's the perfect platform for like spiritual wellness and just to get, out there, but also just to connect with people. I've connected with so many amazing people that are like-minded and starting to get into the things that I was starting to get into when I found spirituality. And it's just been amazing to connect with people and to learn. And it's great.
Cool. I love it. Well, kudos to you for being on there. That's one of my intentions here in the next couple months. So,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I support that.
yeah, I love it. For anyone who is maybe new to you or new to your story, I would love to just kind of introduce the listeners to who you are and what you've got going on.
Sure. So I am Alex. I live in Chicago, and I'm kind of classically trained or just went through the conventional track of becoming an architect and interior designer. And I have always kind of wanted to do that. Growing up, I just knew that I was drawn to buildings and interiors. I could kind of go into a space and just feel something. And I loved the idea of creating a space that someone else felt something when they stepped into it. So, that's been a really lovely journey for me. And, over the years, I kind of felt like a piece was missing. And I think that that piece is just that human connection and kind of seeing how the space impacts the person and feeling like I'm really making a difference in someone's life. So that's kind of what has gotten me started on this spiritual journey, on this Feng Shui journey, intuitive interior design journey. I just really wanted that human connection. I wanted to know that I was making a positive impact, and I wanted to help people feel empowered to change the energy in their space if they feel like anything is dragging them down and they don't know why. So that's kind of how I've ended up here.
I
Yeah.
love that. Cool. For anyone, I would love to better understand in what ways
Mhm.
does your space really like impact your own energy and your well-being? Because I know like I felt it before, especially just even in like my office space, if I have like, a cluttered desk or a lot of things, I can feel like the anxiety creeps up and it's just I'm not happy being there until I kind of
Yeah,
clear it,
exactly.
cleanse it. In what ways have you maybe seen that shift in yourself?
And myself. Well, I mean, I have been working on my apartment for the 2 years that I've lived in it. When I first moved here, I was just so grateful to have my own space. I was so relieved, and I kind of just left it as it was. And I was like, this is good. I'm on my own, and I'm grateful for that. But as time went on, I kind of started to realize that I was kind of allowing other people's energy to kind of seep in, and I was just kind of letting it happen, and I was, not doing anything about it. So when I started to discover feng shui, I just learned how I can manipulate the space and put intention toward things that I wanted to change. And I think overall, I've just been more conscious of the energy and how it naturally affects me. So I feel more at peace, and I feel okay with having bad days. I kind of know that things are fluid and that they're always changing, that I can put intention toward changing them. So I feel really connected to that intention. And every time I look at my space, I am reminded of what I want to change in my life. Like if I see, the little box in the corner, I have like a little silver box in the corner right behind my door that has affirmations of things that I want to happen, or, all my crystals and my sage and artwork that I've selected that makes me feel just really positive and at peace. I'm reminded like I am doing something to achieve what I want to achieve. And it already just lifts my spirit just to see that I've done those things.
So beautiful. I love that so much. I could feel even just your energy and like your connection as you were saying that about those
The
pieces.
passion just kind of spills out.
100%. So fun. For anyone who's maybe not super familiar or has heard the term feng shui but doesn't
Yes.
really understand it, what
Hmm.
exactly is feng shui and why do we need it in our lives?
Sure. So feng shui is an ancient Chinese art slash science, and it's used to harmonize us within our spaces. And I like to think of it as astrology of our space.
Cool.
And it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but I kind of like that it's like the physical interior design adaptation of astrology and how we can kind of use that. So basically, every space that we walk into has energy, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it, and that will start to affect us. And so there are different ways to kind of interact with that energy. And the ways that I've learned are classical feng shui and intuitive feng shui. So classical uses 5 elements: earth, metal, water, wood, and fire. And those elements are used to remedy the negative influences in the environment. And it's based on the cardinal directions and the year the home was built and its exact location. And we kind of do these calculations and determine where the energy is kind of stagnant and where it needs improvement. And so then there's also intuitive feng shui, and that's kind of the modern westernized version. And it still uses the cardinal directions, but spaces are kind of divided into an equal grid. And then each area corresponds to a different area of your life. So each area can be remedied specifically toward your goals. And those enhancements can be made through your decor, color, bringing in crystals, and just kind of different elements of interior design that you can bring into those spaces.
I love that. That's so fun. So, in combining the two,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, how do you
Yes.
kind of combine and like overlap the two of them?
Sure. So it can kind of be done, they can be done individually, but I think it's really helpful to start with classical, because classical kind of determines what is necessary just as a baseline, like where there might be negative energy just kind of sitting. And so that's the most important thing to start with for me, is like determining the specific needs of your home and dealing with the energy that's already there. And then intuitive comes in where you kind of layer it on top, where, if your career is going amazing, like then you already kind of did your job there. But if you really want to call in an aligned partner, or if you are working on calling in abundance or calling in more confidence or a better relationship with your family, those specific areas of life can be catered to, and you can use what you already have in your space to just kind of cause the energy to move and put intention toward those changes.
Cool. That's so fun. Do you have any personal examples of maybe an area of your own life that you ended up, or even a client, without, giving away too much information, that you kind of did some practices and then really saw that enhancement come into
Yes.
fruition?
Yes, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing for me was just kind of falling in love with my home again. I was grateful to have my space, but just like I said, that negativity started creeping in, and I could kind of feel the energy of my neighbors creeping into my space. And the important thing to remember with this is that people serve as a mirror. And so I was recognizing that whatever was coming in was something that I really needed to deal with internally as well. So I kind of took it as an opportunity to say, what is this teaching me? What is this showing me? And what can I do about it? So the first thing I did was, I was having like a noisy upstairs neighbor issue. And so I put a mirror on top of my kitchen cabinet. So you couldn't really see it, but like I knew it was up there. And so that's just to basically reflect the energy kind of back and kind of put a barrier between my energy and their energy. And just to say, whatever you're sending down here,
Keep it
keep
up
it.
there. Cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I have a little box by my front door that has, positive intention about that, relationship. And basically just, like I said, recognizing what in myself that it was bringing up, I, I started to send positive energy up there. And I realized that, what the situation was bringing up for me, wrote a letter in my journal and just kind of tried to bring about that peace within myself. And that neighbor no longer lives there.
I love it.
And that's not to say like you're going to cause things to happen to other people, but it's just kind of, maybe making people recognize like why the negative energy is surrounding them. And it kind of just, I think, allowed everyone to kind of find what was happening and do what was best for them in that situation. So for me, I have, a lot of peace and really confidence in the fact that my timeline is like divinely guided, that everything is happening for a reason to help me grow and to help, everyone else grow, for our best and greatest. And so that was something that was just kind of crazy to me.
Yes.
But gave
Such
me a
a
lot of,
beautiful example of energy and motion too, of how you
yeah,
took that intentional action from a place of love and for the betterment
absolutely.
of yourself, in no harm to them, just trying to
Absolutely.
find your own peace of mind. And in exchange, some form of an energy took place, whether it
Yeah,
was, the universe or whatever, or they maybe got that little light bulb moment that they needed to change their
totally.
life. And it all just happened so synchronistically. I love that.
Totally. And I think the most important aspect is to remember to send love, because if you're sending negative energy or even just feeling it as a result of what you think someone is doing to you, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because you're feeling negative when you could just have that peace and knowing like, this is teaching me something. I'm going to learn from it and eventually it will get better. So yeah, that's definitely something that I would recommend in any situation, just to remember to send a love to those teaching you a lesson.
Yes, absolutely. That's so fun. Is there anything that you do as well? Just even from I know a lot of us are working from home right now, even if you
Hmm.
have maybe a stressful day behind your computer, to even just clear that energy real quick so it doesn't leak into your evening routine?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing is sage and Palo Santo, I mean, are just essential in life and in feng shui. It was recommended to me to cleanse my body every day when I was going into, an office. And now that I'm at home, I still try to cleanse as much as possible, just cleanse my entire space. And yeah, I mean, that's just important to kind of have that as a baseline. And so, I mean, for your office space, I know that a lot of us are working from home. I think that it's also important to just make sure that you're in a separate area that's kind of designated for work. If you're kind of doing work all over the place, you're seeping that energy that you're bringing in from work all over your bedroom, your living room, your kitchen. Like, you don't want it to kind of go all over the place. If you're, having a stressful time, make sure that you're in that space and you're kind of isolating it to that space. Like, this is the work zone. And then you're kind of remedying it after, like, you keep your crystals around you, or, stage your area when you're done, so that it just kind of stays contained and you don't bring it into the rest of your life, into the rest of the areas of your home.
Cool. I love that. That's such a good
Yeah.
tip. I know for myself, even sometimes I can tend to kind of transport myself in different areas.
Hmm.
So I really, even though I have a designated workspace, sometimes I'm just
Right.
I want to change it up. So, but I actually
Yeah.
resonate really deeply with not changing it up with certain situations.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it's really easy to and I mean, it's great to have that freedom, but if you're trying to kind of focus and just get through what your
mhm.
tasks are, and then you can really enjoy your time and the rest of your space, like when, that time is there. Because if you're like sitting on the couch while you're working, then you're only kind of half enjoying it.
Yep.
You know what I
So
mean?
true. What about for anyone listening who maybe is in, because I know I was in this situation before the current place we live in, when
Hmm.
I was actually just starting out my business at the time. So I just made a
Hmm.
desk space in my bedroom, but I felt
Yeah.
so convoluted having that there. And for
Mhm.
anyone right now who's maybe, had to do the sudden work from home, doesn't have space for a separate area, is there
Totally.
anything to even just separate the two if they have to be in the same room as one another?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think one thing is, you can feng shui anything. So you can feng shui
Love that.
your desk, you can feng shui your room so that your desk is in the right placement
Mm,
in your room, so that it's still there, but you're kind of putting the intention behind, okay, now my room is the space that we're feng shuiing, and the north area is the space for career. So I'm going to put my desk in the north, or facing north, so that I'm kind of telling my room, like, yeah, this is for bedroom stuff, but it's also I'm going to separate it here and put my intention toward the career in this area. So you can kind of play with where you place things. And then I think, just if you're enhancing your bedroom in its own way separately from that area, you're not going to have any issues with, love, with sleep, with your energy. If you're just kind of focusing on your room and saying, okay, this area is where I want to focus on, all those things, then it'll kind of separate itself.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's super helpful. Thank
Hmm.
you. So
Sure.
another piece of your work is interior design. And
Yes.
I don't know if we talked about this before, but my mom is actually an interior designer.
Yes.
So I have a soft spot for that profession in my heart
Yeah.
and have always just grown up with just like very beautiful, very, conscious of what the spaces are looking
Hmm.
like, which is so fun. But in what ways do you combine the interior design element with the feng shui in your work? Because I think the two are so cool. And I know you mentioned architecture earlier as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. 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 So, I mean, for me, I have just, in learning feng shui, I've kind of noticed what I've already intuitively done in my
Mm,
own space. Like I said, that the spaces are kind of divided into these different areas of life. And, I've noticed where things are going well. I kind of have already taken the steps to, put certain elements in those areas, which has been really interesting to learn about. And, I think one of the things for me too, in combining them, is letting your intuition guide you. If you want to paint your room bright red, if that's just like speaking to you, there might be an element of feng shui that's kind of telling you that room needs more of a fire element. You kind of need that energy or something. And let your intuition guide you. If you're feeling called to put something in a certain place, like, just do it and kind of trust that even if you don't know the reason, that there is a reason that you want to do that thing. So that's just kind of what I've learned, is I've been taking more risks with my space for sure. And I've also been kind of cutting ties with things that I didn't really want in my space,
mm,
whether it's something that somebody gave me that I kind of felt bad getting rid of, or, something I've had for a really long time. Your space should be a reflection of you, and it should be a reflection of how you want to feel. So in decorating your space, choose items that feel really good to you. And especially in your bedroom, things that are peaceful, that are calming. If you don't want to have like a picture of like a stormy night, like a ship on a stormy night, you know what I mean? Like something that's going to cause your energy to be like, what is that? Or I mean, like, if that's what you like, then that's fine. But kind of like look at your spaces, and look at your items and say like, what, if there's anything that you're looking at that's like, ooh, that's bringing up a bad memory, or that's making me feel not great, like that's your intuition, and that's feng shui telling you like, this item is no longer serving me, and it's okay to kind of release it. So that's just how I've been learning to layer the two together, is kind of letting my intuition say, if I look around this room, what feels out of place?
mm.
What feels like it's not serving me, like it's bringing something up that I don't want to be reminded of? And, intuitively putting something more peaceful and more positive, that really brings me that happiness there instead.
Cool. That's so helpful. As humans, we want to naturally grow and to experience change. However, it's the fear of taking conscious action on these wants that keeps us stuck, keeping us unconsciously attached to an imbalanced life, attached to the habits and comfort that pain, suffering, fear, resentment, and limitations of our current realities provide to us. Whereas in reality, our true home, our real home, resides in a world of balance, a world we are aware of, yet also free of anything that no longer serves us. For balance is the key to life. Balance is the aim of all living creatures. We are all alive and living right now in this moment. Our earth is also alive. Our beautiful earth is mostly made up of water, and we too, as human beings, are made up primarily of water. Wherever there is water, there is life. And just as water must be kept in balance here on earth, we as human beings must also be kept in balance. After much discovery and witness to life's experiences, I created Ambu, a modern holistic wellness company. Ambu is a company designed to truly realign you on a mind, body, and soul level. Through my holistic wellness practice, my intention is to guide you to a more rightful and truthful way of living. A simple guide that complements and enhances where you are right now. Real change happens from within and is the key to not only transforming yourself, but your experience of the world around you. Together, I will work with you to uncover your why, adopt sustainable practices for long-lasting lifestyles, and expand to your fullest potential. Our lives, and especially the world of health and wellness, has gotten far too complicated over the years. Through my work with Ambu, I strip it all back to the beginning of time, back to the basics, in order to bring you full circle, not to a new self, but back to the essence of yourself, your one and only authentic self. Ambu offers a variety of programs and resources, each built with intention to target how unique we all truly are. We offer a 9-week wellness program called Life in Balance, which is a snapshot of our larger 6-month program, where we will open the doors to longevity, new possibilities, happiness, the power of plants, and your total well-being. We will focus on all areas of your health, from what you are eating and why you are consuming certain foods to what's happening off your plate. This program is perfect for anyone looking for a new take on life, specific attention on gut and hormone health, mental health, immunity, and even chronic illness. We look at the full picture of your lifestyle, from your sleep, relationships, self-care and daily rituals, spiritual or religious practices, career goals and stress levels, to daily movement and activity. You are a multidimensional being, and it's crucial we keep that in mind at all times. For my 3 and 6 month program participants, one will also receive their very own customized human design blueprint produced by human design guide Becca Daly. Together, through the help of understanding your specific human design, we will be able to even more deeply structure your life in a way that supports how you are naturally designed to operate. It's truly a win-win for all of us involved. And of course, if you are someone who is simply struggling to eat healthier, knows you could be doing something different, yet have no clue where to turn, I've created my Lifestyle Tune-Up, a one-off option for us to find easy swaps, pantry replacements, and help you to better understand what is actually healthy in today's world. Plus, I will leave you with my full guide of preferred brands to shop for and supplement recommendations. All in all, a life well lived is a life that you are able to enjoy. It's time to rediscover your inner calling, your healthiest and brightest you that's been waiting inside of you for all this time. It's time to dust him or her off, and I'd love for Ambu to serve as your guide and accountability partner in this journey. So let's guide you back home to a life in balance through our modern holistic approach to wellness. To learn more, visit us at ambuwellness.com or connect with us on Instagram at ambuwellness, and let's transform together. As it pertains to if you have an item that someone gave you and it's really not jiving with you, but you just feel so guilty separating with the item or anything, do you have any recommendations for that, or even like placing it somewhere else?
I mean, for me, I don't recommend keeping anything. Like, even if you want to putting it in storage, you're keeping that energy, but you're just hiding it. And so you're kind of pretending that it's not affecting you, but it still will. So, I mean, if you have the opportunity to give it back to that person that gave it to you, like, that's probably the best case scenario. But a lot of times, that's not, going to happen if it's maybe something an ex gave you, or I don't know, whatever memory that thing is bringing up that you don't want to revisit. But I think even donating it to me, the energy is kind of still there. So I think just kind of get it out of there. If it's like a piece of paper or artwork or something that you can burn, go for it. I'm not going to condone like littering or anything like that, like throwing it anywhere, but just get it out of your space so it's not yours anymore. I mean, and don't put it in a storage unit or like in your parents' basement or that either, because it's still yours. In any way that you can, just to feel like it's completely out of your life, do that.
Cool. I love that. Yeah. You definitely don't want it like sitting there waiting for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, what I'm guilty of is putting stuff in my car and like
Mm,
that. I'm like, oh, I need to get rid of this. And then but your car can be feng shui too. So it's like every time you're there, you're feeling that energy. So just get it out of your life, especially if it's bringing you like actively bringing you negativity and you're aware of that, like get it out.
yeah, I love that. What about if another question, if someone
Hmm.
say gives you a gift that's like,
Hmm.
oh, a friend or a family member is like, here, I was out shopping and saw this pillow and wanted to give it to you. But you're like, oh crap, what do I do now? I don't like the pillow, but is there anything there or kind of like
Yeah.
same answer?
I mean, kind of same answer. Yeah. I mean, you don't need it. You don't need to bring in, you know, something that is not making you really excited to have in your home. So, you could keep that as a regift or, something like that. Or, maybe a friend one day will be like, oh, I really, want to buy this pillow or whatever. And I can't find what I'm looking for. Just kind of be aware of where you can kind of bring it elsewhere. But I still, it's really difficult to say like, stop buying me stuff for my house. But like, I have said that to my family at this point. I'm just like, you know what? I know I'm good. I have enough items. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, but I don't need more items for my home. So your friends and family kind of learn like that that's not something that you need.
I love
Yeah, I
that.
know it's really hard. It's hard to say no to things that people are giving you like out of love, but if it's making you feel icky, you don't want to be looking at it every
That's so helpful. I'm sure that will also be really helpful to a lot of people listening because it is hard when things are given to you with love and then, you
Yeah.
don't want to feel guilty about it. But I love just
Yeah,
that,
of
even
course.
telling them, hey, I don't need more things for my home. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and you can kind of do it ahead of time. Like if someone's handing you a pillow, you don't have to be like, I don't need this,
I'm
but
good. Thanks.
like, thanks, but no thanks. But yeah, I mean, just kind of put it out there that, you're really satisfied with your space. And then maybe people will kind of recognize when you're conversing with them other things that, you're kind of putting out there that you might like or need.
Cool. So fun. So, in looking at, we mentioned it earlier, with working from home, but just
Yeah.
in general, this last
Mhm.
year, we have all been spending so much time in our homes. And I know a lot of people have really taken the time of like home improvement and let's really
Yes.
change up the space and everything. But I would love to hear from you in your professional opinion. I guess any tips you have, or just even ways we were talking about energy with feng shui, even ways to kind of change up the whole energy of your
Yes.
home or how to go about
Yes.
all of
I
that.
mean, the the first thing, I mean, I think is going to be obvious, but you have to clear the clutter. You have to. I mean, and I'm not saying you have to do it every day or make it something that you feel bad about, if there are days when, things just start to pile up, because even I'm guilty of that. But it kind of serves as a mirror. When I'm having a really stressful week, my bed's not made or stuff just starts piling up on my counter. And then you kind of feel worse because you're getting that energy stagnant and you're being reminded that, oh, I'm having a hard week. So if you can just do things in little chunks, like if you're watching TV and you're really enjoying it and a commercial comes on, go move a couple of things for that
Mm-hmm.
1 minute of the commercial. Just do things as you can, and that when it feels good, don't put too much pressure on yourself, but you will feel better. I mean, there's nothing like that feeling of your room being clean, your bed being made with like fresh sheets. That's just, my first thing is that's going to raise the vibration of your home. So anything that you can do to get into that better mindset, to even just accomplish two little things at a time, it's going to help you. And then, like we said, I mean, just look around your space, anything that's causing any sort of negativity to come up. Goodbye. Another thing I touched on briefly, but surround yourself with artwork that really inspires you. And especially like in the bedroom, if you're trying to call an aligned partner, like put photos of couples in love or put like pairs of things, that is going to kind of balance out that energy and remind you of what you're kind of intending to happen. And take out any pictures of like your family members in your bedroom, anything that's just kind of like causing you any sort of anxiety you don't want, like while you're trying to sleep.
Mm.
So just kind of make sure that your spaces are speaking like peace to you and causing you to feel that peace when you look at them. We touched on this too, but don't be afraid to take risks and to let your intuition just guide you in these spaces. And, if you're walking into a room and you're like, well, this person told me that this layout makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you and it feels weird, then don't do it. I mean, I know that for me, in my apartment, all the other apartments are kind of laid out the same, but we all have our furniture laid out differently. And I think that's so interesting where like it might make sense to someone to put your couch here, but then it might make sense to someone else to put it in a different spot. And that's just the different energy of your home. So just trust that and do whatever makes you feel calm and peaceful.
Cool. That's so helpful. Do
And
you
then
do
sage
any?
always.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, sage is so important. It's so helpful. For
Yeah.
anyone who has maybe been in the same space or home for a few years and is looking for a change, do you personally recommend or ever do anything where you'll, if it intuitively feels good, like start adjusting furniture and kind of like
Oh, totally.
recreate your same space?
Absolutely. And that's really what I've been doing in my own home in the last couple of years since I moved in is just seeing what I looked at and when I first moved in and was like, oh, that's fine. And then now really sitting in it and being like, okay, what really like how do I really feel about these decisions that I made when I wasn't really worried about how it might affect me aside from just being grateful to be here. So I think it's great to move things around. And I mean, I think we all did that when we were kids. We loved moving our furniture around our bedrooms, or at least I did. It just felt like a new space. So the energy will change over time. And so it's great to, if you feel like, "Oh, I don't really like this here anymore," then totally rearrange, because that I think that's your intuition guiding you.
Cool. We moved into a new space kind of like a year and a half ago, and the one
Hmm.
room where my office is and the current room where I also record right now with my podcast episodes and things, the
Hmm.
walls were like this really dark brown. And I was like, every time I would walk into it, I could just feel like my body tense up and I
Yeah.
was so not enjoying it. And then finally, and we just kept putting off painting the wall just white because, you know, just being lazy. And then finally we were like, okay, this weekend
Yeah.
we're going to paint, we're going to do it. And I literally feel like I can breathe again. Like every time
Yes.
I come in here, I'm now happy and excited. And I'm just like, oh, like so much
Yeah.
better.
Well, and that's the thing about feng shui too is, I'm not going to sit here and say, I believe in magic and, you have to subscribe to this certain like sector of spirituality in order for this to work for you. Basically psychology. I mean, it's like we accept that color theory, that color affects us in different ways. We know that. We know that that's just the thing that happens. We all accept it. And it's just the same. I mean, if color can affect our energy, then why wouldn't the items in your space affect your energy just the same? So I think it's all just kind of interrelated, and you don't really have to be conscious of how things are affecting you to just be aware that they can, and to want to put that intention toward it, that energy being positive if it's going to happen. So yeah, I think that's a great example, and I think color can make a humongous difference. So paint your walls, do it.
Yeah. From a feng shui perspective, what are some of the little like color tricks and things like that to look out for? Like I think like pink is for love or maybe red, I believe.
Yeah, and those colors kind of also pertain to the element of fire.
Mm.
So, if we go through classical feng shui in your chart and it says that it needs more fire, then that's something that you can use to kind of remedy that space. And that actually is something that happened to me. I needed more fire in a certain area of my house. And I was already kind of thinking, like, I really want to paint this room like a soft pink. And I was like, is that too like feminine? I don't know. And I was kind of toying with it. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, heck yeah, then I definitely need to paint it because that's going to help. And intuitively what I needed. So yeah, there's that. And then there's, all the different sections kind of have colors associated with them, but it's not really, I think really you should just kind of let your intuition guide you with that, because the elements don't always, aren't always as effective if it's just through color. Sometimes you need like the actual element. Like I have a fountain in my house because I needed
Cool.
more water in one area, and the blue, like painting it blue helps, but you can't just paint your room like, every color a different, or every room a different color just because just because. So I think, yeah, just let your intuition and whatever is like calling to you, just kind of trust that. And I think it's okay to kind of take like take a risk and make, kind of a risky decision. And you're like, I don't know why I want to do this, but I want to, and just do
Cool. So fun. I love this conversation so much. So recently, and I say recently, in like recent years, the
it.
whole
Hmm.
house plant trend has kind of taken off
Yeah,
where everyone suddenly is obsessed with plants. And for me, I feel like it really just takes us back to our most natural state as humans. Like
absolutely.
we need nature. It's a no brainer. Everybody wanting plants in their home. I'm kind of like, well, yeah, duh. Like,
Yeah,
we've been in like such a technology infused society. It's like we need that balance of nature.
for
Is
sure.
there anything from your perspective, whether like feng shui or interior design, as to like when bringing plants into your home, like what that kind of does for the overall energy?
Well, I think it depends on if you're going to make sure to take care of the plants. I mean, if you have unhealthy plants, that's not going to bring in positive energy. But if you make sure to take care of your plants, talk to them, water them properly, and kind of treat them like a pet, is what I like to do, then, it's going to enhance the energy. The one thing to kind of be aware of is the type of plants that you're bringing in. If it's kind of spiky, I mean, there's, I'm not going to say toss out your cacti, but just be aware of where you're placing it. And if it's like at your front door and you kind of feel like every time you come in or out of your house, you're like, oh, like kind of just being like the energy is being sucked from you, just kind of be aware of where you're placing those things. And if they're starting to affect you negatively. But certain plants can really help enhance certain areas of your life too. Like if you have a money tree, like in your north, like career corner, like that's going to be great. That's, going to call in that abundance. And you can also put it in the southeast, which is the wealth and abundance area. That's kind of helping put intention toward that goal. But yeah, I think keep your crystals in the dirt of your plants, and make sure that you're bringing that positive energy that you want to get back from them. Then I think that that's a great thing.
That's so fun. I had heard one time too that there's actually certain plants that you only want to put in the bedroom, because some plants, because their plants are always living, that if you're really sensitive, a plant can actually keep you awake at night. Is
Oh,
that true?
sure. Yeah. I mean, I haven't specifically learned that, but I that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So fascinating. You mentioned, a money plant, kind of bringing that
Hmm.
in. Are there any other tips? Obviously, we all love talking about, how can we bring in more abundance into our life? Is there any tricks on your end of kind of calling in more abundance?
Yeah. So, like I said, the southeast is going to be the direction that you want to focus on. So, kind of if you have a compass, or even just use the compass on your phone to kind of figure out the directions of your house. And I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes it's obvious if you live like on a grid, but sometimes it's just a little bit skewed. So make sure that you really know the different directions that you're oriented, and then focus on the southeast. And what I would recommend for there is you can write yourself a check for a large amount that you hope to pay. Keep a bowl of chocolate coins or anything symbolic of money. That's the right place for it. Like I said, it's a good place for a healthy money tree. One of those, it's like those braided trees. And so if you have
Mhm.
one of those that's potted, and even, if it's in like a green pot, like even better. And the biggest, I think, easiest thing to do with feng shui is to write affirmations that correspond to the different areas of your home. So in each little corner, if I'm trying to work on something and call it in, I write the little affirmation on a note card. I'm so abundant, like I'm so grateful that I make X amount of money, like abundance just comes to me, like I'm a magnet to money. And I put it in that area, and then I put a crystal that represents that on top of it. So like I have the note card with a little pyrite on top. So you're again putting that intention toward it. And even though it's such a small thing, you're reminded of it every time you see it, and you're putting energy toward accomplishing it.
Cool. Oh my gosh. I am definitely going to do that. If any of our listeners, highly recommend doing that. That's
Yeah.
so fun. That is such a fun tip.
Yeah. And I mean, it's easy, and you get to pick, the affirmations that really align with you too.
Cool. So
Yeah. I love doing that.
personal. That
Yeah.
is so fun. Is there any connection with working, whether it's with like the lunar cycles or even like seasonally? I know sometimes I just get like super inspired where I'm like, I need to make a change. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
more intuitively, but is there anything you do
Totally.
seasonally or with cycles of change?
Well, with classical feng shui, it's good to get your chart of your home done every year, because with the lunar new year, everything kind of changes. The energy kind of shifts, and then your chart will change every year. So you will want to move the remedies around your home a little bit. Like if you have a lot of metal in a certain area, we're going to want to move it maybe to a different area that needs it. So that's something that's important to note for classical feng shui. But other than that, I mean, I think the new moon is always a great time to start something new, to write a new affirmation, to kind of shift focus onto something. And you can kind of work with, the different new moons and whichever like sign they're in and what will correspond to your area of life that it's happening in. And then the full moon, I'd say, is a good time to release any items that you don't want anymore, any affirmations that aren't serving you anymore, like maybe burn that note card if it's just, not relevant anymore, or, to make a list of just stuff that you want to release and the energy that you want to release, and burn that. Full moon would be great for that.
Oh, so fun. So I have to ask, did you always, in looking back in your life, would you
Mhm.
have anticipated that you would be doing this line of work?
No, I don't think so. I kind of just grew up, and came into adulthood with a very conventional outlook, and thought, I went to college, this is my degree, and this is what I'm going to do. And, I kind of started to feel like I wasn't happy. And, I started on this spiritual journey, and, I met a lot of people who kind of helped me realize that you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. If you're not happy, then you can do something about that. And it took Lindsay, who
Yes.
saying to me, like, if you don't like your job, then you don't have to do it. And that had never been even crossed my mind, that you can just kind of do whatever makes you happy and do whatever you're called to do. And I my career has been great, and I'm still doing what I've always done, but in kind of learning that your career can evolve, and you can learn something new and you can apply that to your life, has just been like really liberating. And on my spiritual journey, I ended up finding feng shui, which happened to be, the perfect combination of what I always did, interior design, and what I kind of always felt, my spirituality. And it was just a combination of the two. And it made so much sense to me. And so I was like, this is something that I have to apply to what I'm already passionate about. And it kind of felt like that missing piece of being able to help people directly, and to see the result of my work, and to empower people to make changes in their lives that they're feeling stuck in. So it's just kind of been a very natural progression. And I think it's still evolving. I mean, I'm open to wherever the universe wants to send me. And I think that talking to you today is part of that, and being on TikTok, and connecting with people. And we're always going to want to learn more and continue to grow. And so I'm really excited to see where this takes me, and kind of how my career and my business, with the more people I meet, the more experiences I have.
I love that so much. I have to ask you, was it hard at any point for you to lean in and trust the journey?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's always going to be hard. And don't, you're out there and you're thinking, oh, I could never do something else. This is just kind of what I'm destined to do. I think everybody feels that way. And that's not a sign that you shouldn't do it. That's just fear. And anytime I, hear in my head, like, oh, you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, you're never going to be able to do that. That to me is saying, that's not me. That's fear trying to influence me, especially if it makes me feel worse. Then that's something else. That's not part of me. That's conditioning, that's limiting beliefs. And, you know, don't listen. And I know it's really difficult, but take baby steps. And, one of the things I've learned too with like law of attraction is, you always hear to take aligned action. And that's I think that's really hard for some people. And it's been difficult for me to know like what is the exact step that I need to take. But really the point is just let peace and happiness and calmness guide you rather than fear kind of holding on tight to something that you think you need to do, or guilt. Like those are low vibration. And if you're following the high vibration, you're going to end up in the places that you need to be.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so helpful. So, for anyone who is dying to know at this point, where can people find you and connect with you and even work with you?
Yes. So peacefulparlor.com is my website. And I have just, a little bit of about me and about Feng Shui and kind of how I got into it. And I'm working on some blog posts to kind of just, get more engaged with people out there. So that's been a great tool. And you can connect with me through that. It's linked to my website or to my email. So you can just click the link and it'll open an email to me if you want to connect. And then my Instagram is at peaceful_parlor. But like I said, I'm more active on TikTok, and I would love to connect with anyone that's, excited about anything I talked about or just wants to learn more. So that's peaceful_parlor on TikTok as well.
Love it. How did you come up with the name? I love the name, by the way.
Thank you. So I don't really know. I sat down and thought, what makes sense to me? And it just kind of came to me because peace is something that is like my word of the year every year. It's like, what do I want to bring in this year? It's always peace. That's just the main goal. And I think it really just applies to what I've tried to do in my space and what I want to help bring into other people's spaces is peace. Happiness, we're happy and sad every day, but peace is like your home should be your sanctuary. And so I wanted to incorporate peace. And Parlor, I knew that I needed a connection to my grandma. My grandma was kind of the person in my life who always urged me to do whatever I wanted to do, always believed in everything that all of my goals and my desires, and never made me question anything that I just kind of intuitively knew. She always used to call her living room her parlor. She'd be like, "Oh, I need to go get something from the parlor." And it was just adorable. And it's something that's always stuck with me. So combining the two just really made sense to me. And as soon as I thought of it, I was like, "Oh, that's period. That's it."
I love that. Oh my gosh. And I love that little connection with your grandmother too, because I just love the like traditional aspect.
Yes.
And parlor is such a beautiful word. Like you hear it and you're like, ooh, the parlor.
Yes. Yeah. And I think too, it has roots in basically like a space that you put all of your treasures. And that's kind of like how that's like the origin of the word is like people would go on these like exotic travels and they'd come back and like put all of their treasures in that room. And I just think that that's lovely. So I loved the origin and I love the connection.
So lovely. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Well, Alex, this has been so much fun. And before we close out, I love to end all my episodes with some loving your own soul questions, which are just some on the spot questions, some with a different flair so that everyone can get to know you a little bit better. But speaking of parlors and treasures, I would love to know if you have maybe a favorite piece of furniture or art or even space in your current area.
Yes. So my favorite thing that I own is, speaking of my grandma, is her dresser. And it's really big and it's like from the 60s and it's just gorgeous. I have it as my TV stand and, it's just like in the middle of my living room. And it's my favorite thing to look at and to just be connected to her and reminded of her every day. So if you can incorporate things of people that you love that, make you feel connected to them, do it. Highly recommend. And another thing that I love in my space is I studied abroad in Italy and I have this flag of the town that we lived in. And I've been trying to figure out how to put it up on display in my house. And I just found like the perfect frame for it. And I'm so excited. And so, yeah, like I love just little treasures from places that I've been and things that remind me of people that I love.
Cool. That's so fun. What was something that you loved to do as a child?
That's a great question. I loved to talk, first of all. I was very social as a child, and I think that that's really kind of manifesting into adulthood with that piece of connection that I'm searching for. I just love connecting with people. And I was super crafty when I was a kid. And I think, that kind of has translated into my career as well. My family we're big scrapbookers. So
Cool.
so we were always doing that, taking pictures and then like kind of making scrapbooks together. And that's something my mom and my aunt still do. And yeah, I love that.
Oh my gosh, I used to love scrapbooking so much.
Yeah,
Wow.
my parents or my mom still does it. And like my whole childhood is archived in these scrapbooks, which is just so amazing. And I'm so grateful that she still does that.
Wow, what like
Yeah,
true books of art. That's so
I
cool.
know. Yeah, it totally is.
I would love to know, is there anything in particular that you are most curious about right now?
Oh, that I'm most curious about. I think just where my journey will take me
Mm,
next. I think that over the past couple of years, I'm kind of always trying to anticipate what to do next and what the next steps are. And I'm curious about what's next, but I'm also in a place where I'm finally trusting. And I really believe that everything is happening in its proper, like aligned timing. And so I'm always going to be curious about the future, but I think with a much more positive, optimistic lens right now. So really just excited.
I feel that so much. What season do you feel most connected or at peace during?
Fall for
Fall.
sure. Yes. Yeah. The peace is like almost synonymous with fall for me. I don't know, just
Cool.
walking around my neighborhood and the crispness of the air and like the warm colors that kind of like remind me of a Gilmore Girls episode. Like that's like what I'm always trying to achieve, basically, is that like sepia tone over my life. And I feel that in fall always.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Are you a breakfast, lunch, snack, or dinner person?
I love snacks in any form, but I think like main meals, I love breakfast. I think
Same.
I love waking up and like taking the time to like make each element. And I'm a little bit elaborate with my breakfast now that I'm at home so much.
Oh my gosh,
I'm not like
what do
rushing
you
in the
like to
morning, and it's
make?
been great. So I love having like a mashed avocado with the everything bagel seasoning, of course, and then with like a fried egg. And I love making coffee and just like being really
Mm.
peaceful, or like a chai latte. I mean, I can't get enough chai lattes. I think that kind of corresponds to the fall
Yep,
thing too. But I
totally.
drink them all year, so yeah, I
I
love
love that.
breakfast.
So fun. Breakfast. Yeah, breakfast is
Yeah,
one of my favorites. And
yeah.
I only like breakfast during breakfast time, though. I'm not like a eat
Not
breakfast
a
all day
breakfast for
person.
dinner person. Yeah, I mean, growing up, it was always like such a fun thing to have breakfast for dinner. I don't know why, but yeah, I don't do that as much anymore. I think because I'm like more elaborate with my breakfast now. So
Totally. It's always like a
yeah,
rebellious, like, ooh, I'm eating
yeah,
breakfast at 7 p.m.
totally.
Final question that I ask all of my guests. When did your exploration to diving deeper into your own soul first begin? And how has it evolved since then?
So I mean, I think that it's always kind of been inside of me, that exploration. I kind of explored different religions when I was growing up and just like always kind of wanted to learn more about the world, the connection with other people and the connection to the universe in different forms. So that's always that interest has always been there. But I would say in 2018, it really started. I just felt like I was kind of unhappy in a lot of areas of life. And I, was kind of sitting in it like I did everything I was supposed to do. I did everything right, conventionally right. Can't see my air quotes, but
Yep. Yep.
they're there. And I still wasn't like completely satisfied. And I was like, how weird, because I was always told I would be happy if I did all these things. And I just kind of started to explore that. And I think I mentioned this last time we talked, but you kind of always hear the teacher shows up when you're ready to learn. And that has just been so true for me. Every time I'm ready to learn something new, that person or that course or that opportunity has just kind of appeared. And following that and trusting that will always and continue to happen has been, I think, the most important lesson that I've learned, that you don't have to have all the answers as long as you are letting yourself be guided and trusting that you're going to end up in the right place. Those steps and those teachers will appear and continue to guide you on your journey. So I think like where I am now is definitely more at peace. And when I have bad days, they don't last as long. They aren't as severe. And I just always kind of know that it's temporary and that, it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel unhappy and angry. It's okay. It's valid to feel all those things. Know that it's temporary and really practice gratitude and feel when you're in those happy moments so that you can kind of call back to them when you're not feeling so happy.
Yes. Thank you for pointing that out too, because I know it can feel so overwhelming when we are in those moments and we forget that other people feel that too and that
Totally.
We're all going through things. So,
yeah. And I think on the spiritual journey, it's difficult to have those bad days and to not feel like, oh, did I do something? Bring this up, or am I doing something wrong, or is it bad to feel this way? And it's not. You feel your feelings. It's good, and it won't last as long if you really just let yourself feel it and then allow it to pass when it's time. Don't force anything.
So true. Yes. Mm-hmm. Feel your feelings. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, my girl, this was such a fun conversation. Thank you so much. I know everyone is going to love it, and you are just such a wealth of information. So kudos to you for really honoring your passion. It's truly beautiful.
Thank you. I'm just so happy to be here and so grateful. So thank you.
Wow, what an incredible episode. Alex is just the best. I hope you all took notes during that episode because, wow, just so much to learn, right? I just think that was so helpful, and I hope it was to you as well. Do go follow Alex. Check her out on TikTok for more Feng Shui and interior design tips. And before we close out here, just one more thing. Do be sure to enter to win one of my moon cycle oracle readings for the month of March by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. Plus, you get a bonus entry if you also share your favorite episode with us on Instagram or Facebook. Be sure to screenshot your proof and send it to me as your entry on Instagram at lovingyourownsoul or email lovingyourownsoul@gmail.com. Thank you again for tuning in and being part of this community, and I so look forward to continuing the journey with you again soon.